Hey guys, Apprentice Alex here. Today I'm going to do a little follow-up on my last longer video, which came out probably a few days ago, on the effectiveness of chainmail. So last time I used riveted mail. Today I'm going to use butted mail. If you don't know the difference between riveted and butted mail is usually what you find when you get either like chainmail jewelry or more costume-oriented chainmail. The links are just basically wire wrapped into a circle and closed together with the ends just butted together. There's no mechanical connection at those ends. With riveted mail, each individual link on that piece of chainmail has a rivet that's been driven through it so that there is that firm mechanical connection. Now, a lot of the feedback I've gotten has said that the butted mail should be a lot more vulnerable than the riveted mail was. So I've set up my same rig, more or less. I've had to make some slight changes to it to account for a few different factors, one being the sample piece of butted mail that I have is much larger, so I had to adjust things a little bit so that it wouldn't just slide off of it. And two, I've set things up so hopefully I have less issue with things falling off. Fortunately, last time I didn't have much issue with it falling off of the deck where I'm filming here, because that's a pain in the butt to just walk around through where my neighbor's dog often poops. Anyway, that's besides the point. So we're going to start with, we're going to skip the super soft shot and jump straight into the SCA flat snap. And depending on how this goes, again, we might get some of those cool slow-mo shots again. So immediately with that, I'm going to focus on getting this reset here, as opposed to showing you the exact results, because the results probably won't translate to camera super well. But even with just that flat snap, what I can already see is that while it didn't break through, it did actually cause some damage to the rings. You can see some of them looking close start to pull apart. I'll get some up close of the full damage report at the end of the video. But just the fact that at that one swing, we're already seeing a difference in how much damage the chainmail takes, I think that really is promising that maybe we'll have some. Got to get this all resituated because I knocked it off of the post there to hold it up and out of the clamp, which actually it did pull some rings out of there. Yeah, well, that we'll deal with later. Anyway, but just the fact that we're already seeing a demonstrable difference in the effectiveness of a strike, I really do think that the conclusion to this video is going to be a little different. That's what the early data is suggesting anyway. So let's take off this auto tracking camera here and switch over to a focused slow-mo camera again. Hey guys, And I'm back. So, yeah, that was fascinating. So first of all, I want to point out that the water bottle here took significantly more damage than last time. Some of that, I think, is blunt force crushing action, which means that the riveted mail, or the butted mail, sorry, actually did a worse job of absorbing impact. However, I do want to note that there is also, I don't think this will come through, but you can clearly see where the bottle was cut by a blade, not by, not just tearing from blunt force up here. I don't know if that'll come through, but that shows that there was a much deeper, broader penetration that got through there. There's also a lot more evidence around here of just marks from distinct blade impact as opposed to just general deformation. So already that's a big difference. But even bigger is the fact that I had to search hard to find one damaged, not even broken, but damaged link beyond just a little bending on the riveted mail. Whereas with the butted, we have multiple. See if this will come through. Yep, there we go. Multiple fairly large holes that have been punched through it. The other interesting thing about this is that, yeah, every single one of the thrusts that I did some, sorry, was trying to catch the chainmail as it fell. Every single visible thrust that I performed did some visible damage to the mail. However, there is a caveat there, in that just because it did some visible damage does not mean that it immediately punched all the way through. It still took some pretty significant effort against an undamaged area on the mail to get deep penetration through the mail. I'll note I didn't even switch to the rigid backing this time around because switched it around so it's just the board supporting it, and not the there's just the board supporting it and not the there's none of the padding that might deaden the blow, or the water bottle itself for that matter. The other thing too is that some of the strikes and cuts also did visible damage. I mentioned it before that even just the first flat snap that I did caused more damage than the entirety of the rain of blows that I put onto the riveted. Here's an example of one of the links that got broken off. As you can see, it did get splayed apart, but there's evidence that that this one was actually broken off by a strike, because you can see, I don't know if this will show up, focus, there it is. You can see that there is evidence of a flat strike and not just a thrust through. What does this mean? Was butted mail effective? Actually, yeah, it was. It still stopped a lot of the strikes. It still took significant effort to obtain lethal penetration through it. However, it's clearly significantly less durable than the riveted mail. I guess if you want to use a modern analog, the best way that I could put it would be that the butted mail kind of reminds me of something like a modern day Kevlar vest. That will have no problem stopping small cuts without a lot of oomph behind them. Some kind of, I guess you would call it, to use like kind of hemathermal, some incidental thrust or point shots. They're definite, but it's going to wear out quick. If you're in any kind of combat situation where butted mail was your primary source of protection, the mail's ability to do its job and protect you from injury is a very limited amount of time and number of blows. And I'm sure with something a little heavier than my hand and a half flamberge over here, that you'd probably see things passing straight through. Like, I bet if I went and grabbed one of my spears, I'd have zero problem punching all the way into the board backing. I might do that at some point, throw the spear up against the butted and the riveted mail, and see how that one of those spears, see how that goes. But more importantly, even with something like this, I was able to cause damage to the butted mail, where I really wasn't with the riveted mail. Another thought that occurred to me as I was doing this and I was seeing the damage evolve on this mail, so by the end of it I had 3 or 4 pretty significant gaps with missing links in them. This is a really great argument for hit points, essentially, in at least to the torso in medieval combat sports. Stuff like I've talked about in the past. HEMA, Buhert, SCA Heavy List, Empire of Medieval Practices, Kingdom of Acre, pick your poison. But just based on that, a series of stiff blows to the torso would really be kind of like whittling down on an opponent's hit points when you think about it in a video game. I think that's fascinating too, that it actually kind of lends credence to that model. Of course, hit points can be fixed with a healing potion, and repairing butted mail, while a lot easier than replacing a cracked plate on even a brigandine, let alone like a full breastplate, is still a little more time and energy consuming than that. But anyway, fascinating stuff, and thank you everybody who tuned in to watch. The first part of this did pretty well. I'm hoping that people find this one fascinating too. But yeah, thanks for tuning in.